how will you work to get more members of the community involved in making major decisions about the town's future and helping to propel Messina forward?
I think we have to do a mini forum of what the St. Lawrence County is doing right now, where they've made that forum where they're discussing about how do you want St. Lawrence County to look at the years 2025 or 2020. I think what happened to us is we got fat and sassy over the years because we had General Motors, Alcoa, and Reynolds at the time. And we were very comfortable with that. There were many, since 1968, when I come up here, people were talking about, you know, we should diversify, there should be things that little businesses to fill in. But because we were fat and sassy, we didn't take it seriously. We had low-cost power, we had the plans for good jobs, we were all happy. Well, the world economy changed, the new world order come about, and these big plants and big box stores are only there for as long as they want to be. They don't care about us. It's all about the bottom line. And what happened is we lost GM, we lost Reynolds, and what happened is we didn't diversify, and now we got big holes, and everybody running around, we got to get jobs. Well, a lot of this stuff is on timing, and right now, it's a very, very poor timing. We seem to sit up here and think that we're all alone in this, and it's the only one that's happening to is Messina, New York. Let me tell you, it's happening in every small town, every city across this country. And it's going to take time for everything to come around, confidence get back in the economy, and get people spending money again. In my world, to eliminate all of this stuff, all this fodder that's going on television, if everybody that could have a decent job that wants to work, let me tell you, it would all go away. Because when you can buy it, when you have a job, you can buy a house, buy a car, or whatever. And unless you have a job, nothing's going to happen, and we just have to work our way through it, and I know we will.
Thank you, Gary. Joe?
I'll ask you to repeat your question.
I talked about public participation at town meetings. There's not a lot of people who come, but you both have talked about wanting to get the community to kind of think about what they want to see in the future. How are you going to work to make sure that members of the community are getting involved in making major decisions about the community's future and in helping them move forward?
One of the things that I've thought about, and I used to cover, when I was at the newspaper 20-some years ago, I covered the town board. And people typically don't turn out for town board meetings. I was very excited when Mr. Edward Grant, last time we were going to televise the meetings, and that hasn't happened yet, and I hope it can happen before long. But, and again, I'm far from a tech wizard. I'm a bit of a geek. I'm a bit of a nerd. No, not even that. I'm in the dark. I don't know much about this stuff. And I built this website because I was able to fill in a bunch of blanks on a website template that already existed. But anyway, my question is, can we do live streaming on the internet meeting? We don't really need a cable hookup to do that. Maybe Slick, that provides high-speed internet to the town hall already, maybe Slick can help us provide a live feed, streaming live broadcast of the town board meeting. I think the 5:30 meeting time, quite honestly, is not conducive to public involvement. I understand it's beneficial for the town board and for the councilmen. They're able to get home and spend their evening at home most of the time if they're out at a decent hour. It used to be at a little bit later date. I think 5:30 meeting time may be a bit difficult. But we also need to have, Ogdensburg just finished they're in the middle of a session of same kind of thing, kind of brainstorming and where do we see the community in 10 to 15 years. I'm 46 years old. People that are here that are my age, that's exactly what I say to them. Where do you see Messina in 10 years? And a lot of them haven't thought about that. And we need to start thinking about that. We need to start challenging people and prodding them a little bit. And we can do that, I think, through a variety of ways. Change the meeting time, perhaps, do a live feed, do this kind of blog, website kind of interaction back thing. I don't know all about all this tweeting and twittering and all that kind of stuff, if that makes any sense or not, but there's a lot of emerging technology right now that I think we can use to reach out to people and hopefully nudge them a little bit and get them a little bit more involved in the process. One of the biggest problems we have as a country, I believe, is apathy. And we have that problem here in Messina, and we need to find ways to fight that apathy and to kind of prod people out of their sleep. I don't have a quick answer for that, but it's one of the things that I've certainly planned to concentrate on.
Thank you, Joe. The next questions come from Dottie, and Joe will begin to respond.
Joe, you both done good jobs. Do you think the tea parties and town hall meetings that have been held for the past several months all over the country, do you think that the local, state, and Washington governments have opened their eyes of the positions of what Americans really want and need?
I certainly think that of the three levels, local government is the most responsive. It's certainly the one that should be the most in touch with the public and how they feel about issues. There is no doubt there is some discontent out there. The Tea Party folks, for lack of a better term, don't have much apathy. They're motivated as hell. And if we could get local people as motivated on local issues as some of the Tea Party people, and some of those people are local as well, right? They're very motivated to rattle the cage and scream about government's inaction or government taxes are too high, et cetera, et cetera. We need them to start screaming about local stuff. So we need to tap some of that energy and refocus it on the local level. Whether you agree or disagree with the movements that have been going on September 12th, and then also, and they had, I think, a July 4, July, I can't remember the day of the July Tea Party. It's, like it or not, it's certainly been an example of government of the people, or at least input from the people, grassroots movement. We need to somehow stimulate that kind of thought, that kind of activity, that kind of interest in local government. People are motivated on the federal level because they're ticked off. I'm not advocating the town board go out and tick off as many residents as possible, but we certainly need to do what we can to stimulate some of that interest. And I think it's a matter of challenging people. And sometimes you tweak people a little, challenging them. You don't insult them, but you give them a little poke in the ribs sometimes. It doesn't hurt.
Thank you, Joe. Gary?
I agree with Joe. Yes, but they should be motivated. I think I have no problem with the Tea Party. I look at it like people exercising their free speech rights on national issues, and that's what this country is all about. I have no problem with it. Would I like to see it in Messina at our board meetings? Yeah. Most of the time when we have a board meeting, the only ones there is Laura. And, and she does a pretty good job of writing on what goes on, and I appreciate that. But I was in this room here one night at actually a village board meeting. I try to go to as many of the village board meetings as I can. And it was over, remember, about parking the boats and the trailers and stuff in your driveway. And everybody was all excited. This room was full. They were standing out in the hall. We can fit 105 in here. And I got up, I was standing over in the corner because there were no seats, and I said, I wish more people would come to the board meetings, not only mine as a town, but also for the village, and participate. You hear all these coffee clutches and little things going around town with all the experts down there Monday morning quarterbacking, or Monday every day, the politicians. But yet, I don't see anybody at my meetings. And I go out of the way. I try to introduce them. I say hello, Jack or Mary or whatever. Thank you for coming, and glad to see you here. But a gentleman got up and he said, Gary, he says, when you have nobody at your board meetings, that means everything's okay and you're doing everything's fine. But I don't think that's the right way to run a democracy or run a government in a democracy. I think it should be everybody. But then again, if they're happy, they're happy.
Thank you, Gary.